from the 704 once again for episode 139, or would it be, whichever way that would go, 139 of the 815 exchange. And well. Alright, not too crazy of a week. I mean, we had some big things happen, obviously. It's national championship season. Of course, we have to talk about the events that transpired in the women's, we'll get to it. And of course, the madness that is still happening in the men's bracket. And of course, by the time you were watching this, the national championship will be on. But I'll talk about that in my predictions for that. UConn versus San Diego State, spoiler alert. Of course, we got Succession, we got Dreamville, we still got plenty to talk about, but it's probably way too long of an episode. But as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content, and that everything you are looking for can be found in the description. Whether it's timestamps, even though it won't be as long of an episode as usual, still will be here for you. Also, all my social media links will be provided in the description below or in the outro. So if you want to follow me there, feel free, go ahead, it'll be there. I was going back and forth on whether to start this with college basketball, but I feel like college basketball, at least for another week, is still the main event. So we're gonna go NBA first. All right, we don't usually do this. Usually it's soccer, it's combat sports, but no Champions League this week, and we'll talk about UFC 285, which I think is this week. We'll talk about that. Pereira versus Adesanya 4. But for now, we're going to talk about the NBA, all right? NBA is getting close to that playoff push. The Lakers are the hottest team in the league at the perfect time. Didn't start off the week that way, though. Pat Bev started off the week by telling, it was LeBron, that he was too small. Unfortunately for Pat Bev, the Lakers got it back in blood. And oh, yes, the king is back. And the Lakers are rolling. All right, they are rolling. And it's time. It's time for them to roll, because I'm looking at this and I'm about to go through the playoff push. There's no room for error. But yes, them and the Bulls kind of went back, had a little mini rivalry in the week. But yeah, Bulls won the first one, and then the Lakers got it back in blood. AD had 38 and 17 after getting injured, and that was that. Lakers handled business. But listen, all right, the playoffs. Listen, I guess this is why they incorporated the play-in, so you could have more drama in all of this, because it just worked out perfectly for him this year, excuse me. It just worked out perfectly. Before I even get to the bloodbath that is the Western Conference, let's talk about the East, yeah? Let's talk about the East, shall we? Now, you got Milwaukee, they're good. Celtics, fine. Sixers, fine. Cavs, fine. Knicks, in. Clinched. The Nets are 2 games ahead of the 7th seed, Miami, so as long as the wheels don't fall off, and even though they just blew up the team at the midway point of the season at the trade deadline, things worked out for Brooklyn, which honestly I wasn't surprised. It's something I think I said, and something I'm pretty sure I know there were a couple people that had the sentiments that they weren't just going to kind of fall off a cliff getting Mikal Bridges and the like they still had a solid team. Not an NBA Finals worthy team or anything like that, but still a solid team based off of what they had already built throughout the season. So not really a surprise to see them make the playoffs, but going to be interesting to see how they close. They won 3 in a row. They're again, once again, not that far off for clinching a playoff spot. They will pretty much, in the next day or so, probably one more win, they will clinch a quote-unquote playoff play-in spot at least. But we'll see if they can stay over that line and just be in the regular playoffs. The play-in, again, for the East, pretty much settled. You just kind of depending on who's going to be playing who. Of course, it's 7-8, 9-10. Winner of 7-8 is 7. Loser of that game faces the winner of 9-10 to see who's the 8th. That, needs to be broken down. I know it's a low, but, there's your breakdown. You got Miami, you got the Hawks, you got Toronto, and you got Chicago. All right, Washington's back by 4. They're already eliminated. The Magic are down 4. They're already eliminated. All right, so really the East just jockeying for position. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. The Nets, like I said, just got to hold on, and they'll be all right. Now, the Western Conference, all right? This is the more interesting conference. Nothing wrong with the East. But at least right here for the playoff push, it's the most interesting conference because everybody is separated by like 2 games, and it's chaotic, all right? Denver, Memphis, Sacramento, they're good. Shout out to Sacramento, broke the longest playoff drought in major sports. So Shout out to Sacramento. Shout out to them. But, I mean, good Lord. Good Lord, Western Conference. Okay? Between Phoenix, who are the 4 seed, and let's go Dallas, they are separated by 6 games. 6.5 games. That's it. That's it. We got 5 games left, and 4 to 11 are separated by a handful of those games. I believe it's going to come down to the last game of the season in the Western Conference. You got Phoenix sitting, 4 seed, 9 games up. Think they'll be all right. Think they'll stay out of that play-in. There's 3 games between them and LA. This is where it gets kind of interesting, because then at 5 you have the Clippers. They're 11.5 games back. Golden State, 11.5 games back. The Lakers, scorching hot, have won, 3 straight. 12 games back. New Orleans, 12 games back. Minnesota, 13.5 games back. And then you have OKC, 14.5 games back. All of those teams are still in it. All of those teams are still in it. LA and New Orleans, of course, are fighting with the Clippers and the Warriors to see who's going to be in the play-in and who's going to be out. That's going to be interesting. Minnesota, OKC, Dallas, and even Utah, even though Utah's supposed to be tanking, are going to be fighting over the last play-in spot. They're only separated by 3 games. So there is no room for error right now in the NBA. You cannot get cold right now. None of those teams I just mentioned can get cold. You cannot get on a losing streak in these last 4 games. Really can't even afford to drop a game. Unless maybe like Phoenix or like in the Eastern Conference, right? Somebody mentioned earlier. Like that's it. It's win and you're in. Because if you lose, you're done. You're done. And a lot of these teams have to play each other in these coming games. So it's going to be a very, very interesting week upcoming in the NBA and seeing who survives and who does not. But yeah, we'll talk about some of that next week, of course. But it's going to be very interesting. It's getting very close as we get down here in the playoff race. No margin for error. We'll see what happens. Now, like I said, not too much to talk about in terms of major topics. So we're going to entertainment, because before I talk about the week in music, we got to talk about Succession again. All right, Succession, listen. I tweeted this out. The theme has to be top 5 all time. All right, it just hits every single time. It hits every single time. It does not miss. The Succession theme is just immaculate. All right, but anyways, we got the vote coming up. All right, vote for the company. Logan, he's starting to gaslight me at this point, because a little bit of me, even though at this point we've seen 4 seasons of him gaslighting and emotionally manipulating his children to the point that they have questioned their own sanity and have gone insane probably. He still is able to tug on the heartstrings a little bit and think maybe, just maybe, Logan has some semblance of love for his children, but I do not know. All right, I do not know, but Logan was up to no good throughout this. Even with that, just showed up at ATN unexpectedly, was just moving around. Again, the Disgusting Brothers are the best. All right, Tom, Greg, just jokes. Again, they continue to entertain and be arguably the best part of this show. Carrie as the anchor was hilarious as well. She's just terrible. Just not born to be an anchor. And then the way the kids taunted her when Logan showed up at the karaoke bar was also great. However, it appears that the kids might be splintering already. We went 2 episodes without them. We went 2 episodes. It took 2 episodes for them to start doing that again. Can never work together. It's Roman this time. The kids thinking, Shiv, Kendall, they're saying, hey, we should back out of the deal, apply more pressure. Roman is saying we should take the deal. So now Logan senses that weakness and is like, Romulus, come with me to the meeting and let's see if we can make this deal happen. So yeah, we're just going to see what happens. But yeah, another great episode of Succession. It is the best show on television currently. Watch it if you're not already. That's all I really need to say. It's Succession. You know what it is. Now let's talk music, all right? Because we got Dreamville Fest, but before we get to that, let's talk about one of the co-headliners. Drake dropped Rescue Me. Not officially, but it dropped nonetheless. He played it on the radio show and now it's everywhere. All right, this song was just, oh my goodness, that song was that was heat. It was so much heat. It was so much heat. So much. It's been a while since I've played a song during the weekend as much as I played Rescue Me this weekend. And I had a very, very busy weekend. I had a great weekend. Went to the Hornets game, went to an event, had some fun. But throughout it all, I played Rescue Me about 30 times this past weekend. The song is just heat. It's even better than the snippet. The snippet part was good, and then that second half was just, after the Kim K sample, was just, oh my goodness, immaculate. It's immaculate. My favorite song I've heard this week. But yeah, very good. Now, about the Kim K sample, of course, which has connections to Ye. Listen, if he was just doing it for the artistic value, alright. If it was another shot at Ye, I don't know how I really feel about that. It's kind of like, kind of over it, If the feud happened, it's done. Kind of over it, if it's another shot. If it's just for the artistic value and for the, to go into a theme with the theme of the song, but if it's another shot, I don't know how I feel about that. But overall, the song is fire. Rescue Me. Go check it out. It's on YouTube or wherever else. Probably SoundCloud somehow. Just YouTube's probably your best bet, though. But yeah, Rescue Me, Drake, Heat. Tyler, the Creator, dropped the deluxe version. Call Me If You Get Lost. Called The Estate Cell, and it was fantastic because Tyler is walking on water right now, especially when paired with DJ Drama. They just can't miss. All right, they cannot miss. They did not miss here. Sorry Not Sorry was my favorite song off The Estate Cell, off of First Listen. It was tremendous. All right, it was tremendous. Tyler is just in that pocket right now. Not that he was obviously making great stuff before Call Me If You Get Lost, but he's on a different wave right now and just cannot miss. Like I said, him and DJ Drama. But just working. It just works. It just works. They cannot miss. It just doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. Tyler is him. State Cell, if you haven't for some reason been one of the 2 people on the planet that have not heard the deluxe, go listen to it. If you haven't even heard the full album, go listen to that too, because it was fire. Now, speaking of DJ Drama, he also dropped I'm Really Like That, which producer collab albums can sometimes be hit or miss. When they're hit, they hit. When they miss, it can be kind of jumbled up. It can miss, all right? Drama, he's a veteran in this game. Of course, he's a legend in this game. This is nothing new to him. So it was very good. I'm going to hold off on giving it a rating because I haven't gotten around to that second listen. I will say that I like that second half more than I like the first half of this album. Free Game feat Doug and Uzi, I think, was my favorite song off of First Listen. But definitely felt like those first couple songs were on that okay route. We'll see if they continue, if they make the playlist. But that second half really picked up steam, and I think he really closed it very, very well. Left you with a good taste in your mouth. And yeah, overall, solid album. It'll probably sit around that 8 range if I had to predict for what my final rating on it would be. But yeah, like I said, another really good album. DJ Drama doing some great work. He's on a hell of a run with the whole Gangsta Grillz kind of revitalization and everything. So yeah, shout out to Drama. Larry June and The Alchemist also dropped. I did not listen to that, but I know a whole lot of people who listen to that and said it was very good. I'm not surprised. I might need to hop on the Larry June wave. I feel like I'm missing out, so we might need to add that to the catalog and add that to the palette. All right, so we'll see what happens there. But of course, I would be amiss if I talked about anything in music this week and did not talk about Dreamville. Did not talk about Dreamville. Alright, because it was arguably Festival of the Year, clearly. Especially off of that J. Cole and Drake headline. Forget, Burna Boy, just the rest of Dreamville, Usher on day one. Just a completely loaded, set list we had. Performer list. Then you get Drake and Cole, and saw the set list for that, was ridiculous, all time as expected. And then they brought out the entire industry. They brought out the entire industry. Uzi. Of course, J. Cole brought out all of, Dreamville. Glorilla. 21 Savage. Weezy F Baby. Drake brought out Weezy F Baby. He brought out Lil Wayne, bro. I'm sick. Alright, I'm sick. I'm sick that I couldn't go to this. I'm actually sick I could not go. At least for day 2. I wish I did not have things to do this Monday, because man, it would have been the greatest moment of my life. It would have been the greatest moment of my life, and we missed out. I gotta live with it. But man, Man, oh man, oh man, Dreamville Fest. They did show clips. So I've been watching, some of the Amazon Music stream. Shout out to Amazon for, by the way, for putting that up for stream for those of us that couldn't go. But yeah, just it looked amazing. Shout out to Cole. Shout out to Drake for listen. Put North Carolina tour dates on. You saw the love you got. Put some North Carolina tour dates on the tour, man. Come to Charlotte. All right, come to the 704. Let's make that happen. But yeah. Again, Dreamville Fest delivers as always. Shout out to Cole. Like I said, they got the flowers at the end. That was cool. Mutual respect thing. That like two legends cannot coexist. But yes, if you did go, infinitely jealous, and I know a couple of my friends that are probably watching this did. So congratulations. I'm envious of you for this week. But yeah, Dreamville Fest was fantastic. If you went, let me know how you liked it. But yeah, that was entertainment. All right, now listen, it's college basketball. This is what you're here for. All right, let's be real. This is why I made it the main event. This is what you came here for. This is what you clicked on this video for. All right, there's no need to hide it. There's no need to shy away from it. This is why you were here. All right, I know this is why you're here. Did you want me to hear my thoughts on this? So here we go. Here it begins. We're going to start off because ladies first, like a gentleman. We are going to start off with the women also because the national championship for the guys is not going to be played until you are probably watching this video on a different screen or after. So start with the ladies. Final four, all right, which pretty much came to pass except for one thing, which was improbable, but it did happen nonetheless, all right? If you were to ask me last week who I thought was going to win the national championship, I would have said South Carolina, and then I'd have probably said LSU, and then I'd probably said Virginia Tech, and then I would have said Iowa, as great as Caitlin Clark has been. And before we get to Caitlin Clark and what she did to South Carolina, let us talk about Virginia Tech and LSU. All right, this was a brutal back and forth matchup, and also kind of set the tone in terms of refereeing. Now, there was some interesting calls in that Virginia Tech LSU game. Call it what you want. But it also had a great battle between two of the best bigs in the country. Shout out to 336 legend Elizabeth Kinley. And on the other hand, you had Angel Reese. LSU, listen, they had a fight back in this game to win this game. Shout out to Alexis Morris as well. She went through, did her thing. LSU came back. They got the win. Angel was doing Angel things. And that was that. LSU advances, as expected. Then we go later that night. South Carolina was supposed to butcher. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not going to sugar. They were supposed to butcher Iowa. Okay, maybe Caitlin gets her, 20, 30, maybe a double-double. But South Carolina has been unstoppable this year. Okay, I need to equate this for you. They have been utterly dominant. Dominant. The team that did end up winning the national championship, and I'm going to come back to this, because they wanted to make this a part of the deal with anything, beat LSU. Yeah, oh, excuse me, there you go. Spoiler alert. But South Carolina beat LSU by 20. 20 this year. It wasn't even close. Destroyed them. All right, they have butchered any and everybody that has been in their way. They have looked like the clear-cut best team in the country. They haven't lost since the SEC championship last year. Dominant. Iowa did not have the size to compete with them. They did not have any of that. But it did not matter. It did not matter simply because Iowa had Caitlin Clark. And Caitlin Clark, for a second straight game, after scoring, 41 or 42, in the Elite Eight, triple-double over Louisville to get them here, she goes and has a 41-point game to eliminate South Carolina in the Final Four. Just ridiculous, all right? Absurd. Sets her up for a bunch of records, which she did end up breaking in the national championship. But Iowa was not even supposed to be there, all right? Was not supposed to be there, but Caitlin Clark firmly cemented her place as the best college basketball player, man or woman, on the face of God's green earth. The best, unquestioned. Which brings us to the national championship, Iowa versus LSU. Still, as great as Caitlin Clark was, I had a little bit more favor towards them, but still, if you, held a gun to my head and was like, pick, probably put a Louisiana State University again, just because they got a better team. Nothing against Monica Zazano, Kate, and the rest of Iowa. They have a good team, but they just don't have the horses that LSU has. All right, they don't. They didn't. And that's pretty much how the game played out, to be completely honest. I thought Angel Reese was going to have a much better game than she did, but honestly, she didn't. She really didn't. Still won Most Outstanding Player for her contributions throughout the rest of the tournament, but Angel really didn't do too much in this game. She still ended up with her double-double, got the NCAA record, so yeah, shout out to Angel. But this game was about Jasmine Carson. The real reason that LSU won 102-85 over Iowa in this game was because of Jasmine Carson. She had 22 points, missed one shot, 1 3. I mean, just was unstoppable. Her shot making, it was immaculate in this game. She led the way. 100%. She won this game for LSU. I would be amiss as well if I did not give a shout out to Alexis Morris, who finished with 21 and 9 assists. She had 19 in the second half. After being shut down in the first half, she came back with a vengeance, showed up big time when it mattered. So yeah, Carson and Morris, they got the job done. Respect where respect is due. And yeah, they got it done. Now, the other reason why LSU won this game was because of the refereeing, all right? And it's a shame. It's really a shame because this was supposed to be one of women's college basketball's their shining moment. This was the biggest game. It's probably going to do some ridiculous viewership record, probably for a women's title game. I'm being completely honest. All right, Caitlin Clark has been training for about the past week. Okay, I have not seen a female basketball player get this type of attention in a very, 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 very long time. Okay, so the rating is going to be ridiculous. All right, plus you add on the fact that Angel Reese was also bordering on stardom ahead of it. Listen, it's going to do some ridiculous number, but big stage, you want the best possible game possible. Best possible game you can have. That's a better wording of that. You want the best refereeing crew. Hopefully it's a competitive game, even though you can't really control that. But my goodness, the referee, it let this game down, okay? And I'm not saying that you need to gift wrap stars to ensure that they need to stay in the game for entertainment value. But no, it just needs to be somewhat consistent in terms of calling, and it needs to be somewhat fair, and it was neither of those. All right, the refereeing was atrocious. It was atrocious. The same way that I was trashing Kenny Bayless for his performance for David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant, it was like he was back and we put 3 of him on the basketball court. All right, because they were blind, they couldn't see, they couldn't smell, they couldn't touch. I'm not sure they had any of their senses on Sunday because it was an all-time bad refereeing job that we saw in this game. And it was heavily in favor of LSU. Not that I was surprised that LSU won, but my goodness, did they get a hell. If I didn't know better, I would have thought they must have had that LSU over. Because, I mean, it was horrific. The gimme calls. And then at a certain point, LSU started getting the wrong end of the stick before it reverted right back. The tech on Caitlin Clark was terrible tech. I don't know where that comes from. And then you look in the rule book for what they did call it for. You're supposed to give a warning. They didn't give a warning. And it just pretty much put the game to bed. It was awful. Okay? The refereeing was awful. I can't ignore that. And really helped gift wrap this to LSU. Even though probably could have won without, it just being, gift wrap. Probably would have been a closer game. But, it's just a terrible black mark on what should have been one of the greatest moments for college basketball. And that's just kind of the recurring thing with this game. Okay? Caitlin did finish with 30 and 8. All right, she ended up getting theirs. But I'm just befuddled, to use a big word here, by the reaction from Angel Reese and Alexis Morris and just the rest of LSU. I am very confused. I really need this to be broken down. So if you can break this down for me, feel free to, because I am still confused on what exactly Caitlin Clark did to make them this mad. Because none of their explanations they provided make any sense, at all. Alright? And I'm not talking about her taunting. Okay, I have no problem with any player. Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Haley Van Lilith, hell, Cam Brink, Kaylee Jones, even though they don't even talk, neither of those two from Stanford. It doesn't matter who it is. Liz, Kaylee King, doesn't matter. Alright? Do not care, it doesn't even matter the sport. Okay? Talking is a part of sports. It happens, trash talk. We love it. We enjoy it. Alright? The taunting, it's part of the game. Okay? It's part of the game. I don't care. I do think Angel Reese has been unfairly treated in terms of her actions on the court, which have mostly, for the most part, been very harmless. Part of the game. She's passionate. She's a competitor. That's how she expresses herself. It's fine. It's fine. However, in this game, I don't know what triggered her so much emotionally. I don't know if it was the build-up of everything throughout the year, but she went about it in the worst way. In the worst way in this game. It would be one thing if there was a back and forth between Caitlin Clark, because they didn't talk about anything else from Iowa. Right? They just talked about Caitlin. If it was one thing and it was just Caitlin going back and forth with them throughout the game, I'd get the reaction after the game. I'd get the reaction at the end of the game. But that's not what this was. There was nothing about this that was personal, but for some reason, it was personal for her. So I don't know exactly where that came from, but it came off, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. Taunting somebody for 15 seconds and following them over the court while they pay you no mind is embarrassing. It's not cool. You didn't show any swagger. It didn't look good. You didn't do it. None of that. Nah, it was whack. It was lame. Hit the taunt. If she'd have just walked past, hit the "you can't see me," walked off, all right, cool. We talked about this and we talked about that taunt probably in a much more positive light. But following somebody for 15 seconds over around the court while you get ignored and just look like a fan, because that's what Angel Reese looked like a fan. In your greatest moment is embarrassing. It wasn't this big period moment. Nah, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to watch. I had secondhand embarrassment for Angel Reese watching that clip. And then just the whole, I do not understand the whole idea of the disrespect. What disrespect? Caitlin Clark didn't do anything to disrespect LSU. People are pointing back to the wave off she gave Raven Johnson because they treated Raven Johnson like Russell Westbrook in that game. Of course, Raven, number 2 recruit in the country last year, she'll be fine. She actually ended up hitting 3 threes in the fourth quarter of that game, by the way, for those that did not watch. But people pointing back to that. My question is, why in the hell would LSU get it back? But why in the hell would LSU take offense to something that was done to South Carolina? Why in the hell would they do that? Do you know how stupid that sounds? Do you know how stupid that sounds? That's like if, to put this in football terms, right? So let's say, okay, the Cowboys played, I don't know, the Patriots. The Patriots hit a little taunt on the Cowboys, right? They lose in whatever in this fake tournament we'll do. Patriots beat the Cowboys, okay? Taunt the Cowboys a little bit, whatever. They go on to face the New York Giants, right? And then the Giants beat the Patriots. And then the Giants come on after the game and say, yeah, we did it for the Cowboys. That doesn't make any sense. That does not make any sense. Why would you get it back for your rival team? Why would you get it back for your biggest rival, in fact, this year? South Carolina is not a martyr. The team that beat me by 20 and then proceeded to call me overrated, in case everybody forgot what happened, because we covered that game on this channel. You can go back to the episode. After what they did to you, you gonna come back and say, I saved you? Are you insane? Are you insane? Getting it back in blood for the team that does not like you, taunted you, and beat you by 20 makes absolutely no sense. They're also your rival, which also, again, makes no sense. And if I'm South Carolina, I'm pissed off because, once again, like I said, I'm not a martyr. I don't need you getting it back in blood. I'm sure Leah Boston, Zia Cook, and Dawn Staley are not like, yes, LSU won the national championship. They won it for us. At least they won it for us. No. They're competitors too. They wanted to win the national championship. This is not some enacted form of revenge. They do not care. They're probably happy. The part of them that are friends with some of the players on LSU, but this is not some type of revenge plot. They are probably pissed off. Virginia Tech is probably not like, yo, they beat them. I don't understand it. I do not understand it. Haley Van Lilith, probably talking to Caitlin Clark later that night, is not up in arms about, oh, she hit me with it, you can't see me, LSU got it back in blood for me. She probably doesn't care. HBO is a competitor. She wanted to win the national championship. She's not going to be like, yes, LSU saved us. They held it down for us. So that's not a valid excuse. That's not a valid reason. I mean, it's beyond me. It's beyond me. The way that, and I'm not going to go into the whole, it was classless or not, I'm not going to do that whole spiel, but it was just lame. It was lame. It was fan behavior. It was fan behavior. Alright? You won. You won. You won. And you made the moment about somebody else. I could never do that. I could never do that. As someone that's also very competitive, I could never do that. I would enact my revenge, and then I'm not giving the spotlight and what's my greatest moment to another player that is not on my team. I'm not doing that. Especially if it's unprovoked. Now, if she's been provoked, sure, go ahead. But unprovoked, to keep mentioning somebody's name, I do not understand it, and it's lame to me. It is whack. It is fan behavior. And it marred what should have been an all-time great moment for LSU as a program, for Kim Mulkey, for Angel, for Alexis Morris, for Big Four, for everybody. Should have been their moment. That's what we should be talking about. That's what I should be talking about. I shouldn't be talking about this right now for 15 minutes as I've been talking about it. That's not what I should be talking about. But instead, I have to come on here and talk about that because that's the bigger story than LSU winning the national championship. Is that LSU couldn't get over the fact that Caitlin Clark is apparently living rent-free in their head and people are mad that she talks trash. And didn't talk at all last game. So I do not understand it. I do not understand it. And it left a sour taste in what was, I've praised this tournament up and down. I have praised and will continue to praise Angel, Caitlin, Paige, and the rest of that class, Cam, Aaliyah Edwards, all next year. But it just left a bitter taste in what should have been an all-time moment. And it just kind of ruined it. It ruined it. So, congratulations to LSU at the end of the day. They got a well-deserved win. They were a phenomenal team, but it's your moment. Don't make this about somebody else. This is supposed to be our moment. And you made it about somebody else. I don't like that, man. I don't like it. SDSU took out FAU before this time runs out, and then I'll talk about national championship. But yeah, San Diego State ends up taking out FAU, men's Final Four, quick turnover, no transition needed. Matt Bradley has been phenomenal for San Diego State. We talked about their defense last week. They played solid defense, but you know what? They showed they can score a little bit, and you know what? I will rule San Diego State out, even though I'm not going to pick them over what you will see who won the last game. But you know what? Put some respect on their name. Put some respect on Matt Bradley's name. Elijah Martin, by the way, had 26 and 7. He was solid all tournament long. But unfortunately, game winner from Miller just puts it away. San Diego State got down the court, hit a game winner. Dramatic fashion. And the madness continues. Who would San Diego State be playing, though? They would be playing UConn. Of course they do. They cannot lose when they get to the Final Four. They cannot lose when they're in Texas in the final. It just does not happen, right? They're now 7-0 and going for 5-0 in national championships. Sango had 21 and 10 in this game. He was great. He was dominant on the boards. It was just a dominant force in the interior against Miami. They really had no answer. Miami wasn't awful, but man, UConn has been blowing through everybody. I mean, they've been obliterating everybody. Very reminiscent. You know, the way I was talking about South Carolina earlier, the women's basketball team throughout the season, that's how UConn have been in the tournament. They have been clear-cut the best team on paper, at least, in the tournament based off of these results. We will see what happens, of course, in the national championship, all right? We will see what happens. UConn has been the it team, but, you know, with the way as chaotic as, this is probably the most chaotic March Madness tournament we've ever had. So I'm not going to rule out the Aztecs. I'm not going to rule them out. I'm not going to rule out Matt Bradley. But we will see, okay? We will see. But if I was a betting man, I'd say UConn's got it. They just seem like Jordan Hawkins, Sanongo, Andre Jackson. They just seem like they've got the team. They've been consistent all year. They've been fantastic in the tournament, like I said. If I had to pick somebody, I got UConn tonight. Of course, you will be able to tell me if I was right or not. But yeah, I got UConn over San Diego State. We will see what happens, though. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to Roundup. F1, all right, they were driving at midnight here on the East Coast because they were in Australia this week. Ricardo got to go home, see everybody, and Max Verstappen won. All right, like I said, Red Bull's probably going to win every single race this year. No surprises here. But yeah, it was Max. This was a crash-filled Australian Grand Prix. Okay, it was messy. It was messy. All right, it was a messy race. Ferrari disaster class as always. McLaren actually up. Both got points. I think Lando and Oscar got points. Orlando just finished outside, but Oscar got his first points of his career at his home Grand Prix. So yeah, shout to Oscar. Lewis and Fernando. We had the 3 world champions fill up the podium. So that was a cool moment. Max, Lewis, Nando. Yeah, the Aston Martin is real. It's real. What more can I say? But yeah, just an insane, very chaotic. A great way to end March was the Australian Grand Prix, even though it happened in April technically. But to what was a chaotic March, we had a chaotic Grand Prix. Richmond was a little bit less chaotic than Coda this week for NASCAR. Kyle Larson gets his first win of the season, 20th of his career. He wins at Richmond and yeah, gets it done. Josh Berry, got to give a shout out. He did get second place. So, yeah, not too bad filling in that 9. Showed off, maybe he deserves a shot in the Cup Series full-time next year. We'll see what happens. Got to keep up the, momentum. Got to keep up, with the consistency. But a second-place finish, really, really well done. And, yeah, Larson wins at Richmond. Baseball is back, and the first home run goes to who else but Aaron Judge, my captain. Oh, captain gets it done. And, yeah, we've been playing the Giants this past week. And, yeah, pretty good series to start off with. Not too bad. Stanton's been doing his thing. Judge has been doing his thing. Volpa's out there doing his thing. So, all is well. Good to have the MLB back. Ohtani and Trout went back-to-back as well yesterday. So, yeah, we are fully back, ladies and gentlemen. And, yeah, UFC 2, yeah, it's a Saturday. So, let's do a quick preview of UFC 287 real quick. Of course, it's headlined by Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya, but listen, the Stylebender is quite probably my favorite fighter, okay? I love Izzy, but there is no reason for me to pick him in this fight. There is absolutely no reason for me to pick him to beat Alex Pereira. We have seen this story now 3 straight times, and he has lost 3 times. As much as I love Izzy and I would love to pick him, I cannot in good conscience pick him to be Alex Pereira. For whatever reason, Alex just has his number. After last fight where Izzy had all of the advantages just about and was winning the fight and still found a way to lose, there is no way I can pick him over Alex Pereira in this fight. So I'm going to be straight up. I got Pereira retaining the middleweight championship. I don't know if it's going to be a knockout. I don't know if they go to distance. I don't know. But Alex is going to beat Izzy probably for a 4th time. And I feel pretty confident saying that as much as it hurts. But, yeah, he has Izzy's number. It is what it is. Gilbert Burns is probably going to beat the brakes off of Jorge Masvidal. I am not going to lie to you. I think Masvidal's time is come and gone. It was a great time, but I think it's come and gone. And Burns is still a major contender at welterweight. I think he does what he does there. Other fights we got Font and Inez, Kevin Holland and Santiago, Raul Rosas, the Phenom. He returns, he takes on Christian Rodriguez in the first fight of the main card. Michael Chiesa is supposed to be fighting somebody. The Karate Hotties on here. It's a good card, all right? This is a really, really good card for UFC 287. They stack it. They usually do stack the USANI cards. But we will see what happens, but I got Alex. All right, respectfully, I got Alex. And that's just how I see this thing going down. As much as it pains me to say. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed. That was episode 139. I will see you next week. We'll talk UFC and probably the national championship as well. But yeah, without further ado, Ocho, signing off.